Good afternoon, Lampasas. Call our workshop to order at this time. First order of business is discussion regarding a memorandum of the agreement between the United States Army, Garrison, USDA, and Central Texas surrounding citizens for Syntex Sustainable Community Partnership.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This document represents a partnership between Port Lampasas and neighboring communities to support and enhance environmental goals and projects that improve the quality of life. This actually is a partnership among, there's 8 communities around us that actually is a participant in this. We started this in about 2015 when we became a part of this partnership. We're encompassed with Harvest Cove, Killeen, Belton, Salado, Parker Heights, Gatesville, and Nolan Hill. And again, this is just going to be our renewal for our partnership with them. We have meetings, we have partnerships where we go and we help each other with different events that they have throughout the cities. And this is just one way for us to be sustainable and helping each other in this community. So I'm just asking if you have any questions about tonight, to bring up a workshop. When we do the renewal, if y'all do approve it during regular session, it will be for a 10-year term unless we decide, either party decides to terminate that agreement.
Becky, support and enhance environmental goals and projects to improve the quality of life of each of the surrounding cities. Can you give me some examples of what we've done, because I'm not familiar at all with this?
Well, what the partnership the organization does, so they invite the communities to come help and volunteer hours for different things, whether they're planting a tree, beautifying a park, or doing a volunteer cleanup, whether they're participating in schools. There's just different school and community activities that go on throughout the communities, and if we're able to volunteer, we can, and we participate in that aspect as well.
What have you participated in?
Well, I do the ambassador is what I do. I recommend somebody from the community, and I go annually to their meeting when we go do the proclamation and what I've been participating in. And so I've done the last couple of years where I've nominated an ambassador. So Stephen Stoll was one for the wastewater treatment plant. We've done Janet Crozier for the community garden, and then we've done Mercer Spouse for the Bees and Eagles. Any other questions? Thank you.
Discussion regarding any items on the regular agenda? No. At this time, we'll call the regular session to order. Chief Cummins.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great opportunity to come together in this neat little town with a bunch of good people. And we ask you to be with us tonight. Help us to make good decisions on all the things that are brought before us for the betterment of everyone in our community. We ask that you be with us in safety, be with us and look over us, forgive us of our sins, as always, until we meet again. And in Jesus' name, amen.
Go ahead and pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And tonight we have the honor of doing a couple of presentations and proclamations. And the first one up is Carlos Garcia. The city of Lampasas extends its gratitude for you, for your dedication, the service of the city of Lampasas and its citizens for 20 years.
Turn around.
Let's put the big guy in front.
Oh, yeah. Chuck, you like? Yeah.
You get Chuck a stool.
Don't get in front of me. That's a long time. It is.
So we just need
Congratulations.
Yes.
Good work. Yep. Please stay up. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next one up is Lorelei Dressel. Turn around here, and we'll read this together. It's an honor and a pleasure that I present this certificate of appreciation to Lorelei Dressel for being a community champion. The City Council and its citizens of Lampasas acknowledge and sincerely appreciate your dedication, service, and selfless effort towards making our community a better place to live and to take pride. Thank you for your commitment to building a better tomorrow. Please accept our sincere appreciation on behalf of the citizens of Lampasas. This is a certificate of appreciation is hereby presented on this 26th day of February 24th. Thank you, Laura. Hold on, we got a picture.
Can you be seen?
Peaks. Peeking through.
Don't just kind of hang out. Okay. Abigail Justice. These two girls are Girl Scouts from local troop 6005. They have completed all their service hours at the Lampasas Animal Shelter. Combined, they have completed 800 hours, is that right? In 2023. They are at every event that we host and have spent many weekends, evenings to help staff do whatever is needed to make the animal shelters a better place. I am so proud of them as I'm not their troop leader. And even more proud as a shelter supervisor, and I'm not their shelter supervisor, you are, okay. To see these girls putting out so many hours for something that they love and believe in. Thank you.
Turn your around.
pictures. Send the road to him. Get Chuck in the middle.
I'm good.
Lean this way.
All right, thank you.
There we go. Thanks for Yeah. Sorry.
Rick Crozier.
And what do we say about this fine lady?
There you go.
She's a fine lady.
This was written from her daughters, I'm nominating my mom, Janet Crozier, who is the founder and president of Lampasas Community Gardens. She has worked tirelessly for 4 years cultivating, building community awareness, and installing accessible gardens for all to enjoy, and more importantly, to grow their own food and gain an invaluable knowledge from fellow experts and gardeners. Her recent efforts in seeing her vision of having an ADA-compliant garden for people with mobility issues has been a labor of love. Before becoming president, she had never written a grant or fundraiser in her life. She figured out how to do both and has received thousands of dollars for making this patch of land more than a dream for the citizens of Lampasas. She has spent her entire life serving others and her community wherever she has lived, and I just feel she deserves to be recognized by the city of Lampasas, as it is so well earned and not expected. I know she would be so honored to receive it. Thank you for your consideration.
You feel late too.
We need to lift you up.
Finley, I want you in this too. He is huge. You started it all.
We're gonna do
Where's
this
Chip off?
instead of
Oh,
sign.
Chip off.
Don't cry.
You too. She started it too.
That's blast.
You gotta get your husband.
Yeah, I get you. Come on.
This one's a little harder. Although Brenda Smith passed away on Friday, February the 2nd, members of the community who came into our office were asked for her by name for days afterwards. And I will likely continue to do so for weeks, providing that she was not only an integral part of the Lampasas Dispatch record staff, but also the community that she loved. Brenda was a kind, warm person who looked for ways to brighten people's days, and she would often be touched by the personal stories she heard from those who walked through our doors. In 30 years she worked for the Dispatch record, she greeted tourists, newcomers, and longtime Lampasas alike with informational and help. She went above and beyond in customer service and was often a shoulder to cry on for those struggling with a need to be heard. Even on the day she died, she brought dessert she had made for one of our office staff members who was celebrating a birthday. That was just Brenda's way of showing love. I'm asking that you consider awarding this community champion posthumously to a woman who was the face of our office and in many ways the face of Lampasas community. Thank you, Brenda.
I'll step behind my question. Is she ready? Not sure.
I'll make this one first.
Family picnic. Family day family.
Let's do it, Steve.
I want to.
Yeah.
Come on up here and you're part of this. Lisa? Lisa, you gotta come up here.
Thank you.
Council, just one moment. The girls want to hear.
That's all right, Sam. Here you go. Hey, pick two. They can't block me. Those two over here. Can't block me. These two can. Yeah.
Mayor and Council, I do want to take the opportunity to recognize y'all as well for all your support and help, and have a little token of appreciation for this year of service. So I know y'all been up and down, all ready to come back down. Give you a little token of appreciation. We would greatly appreciate it. We look forward to another year. Thank you very much.
Grazie.
Thank you.
The parking lot. If you're in, you said.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now y'all want to spread out.
Spread out.
You want us to be split?
You know, there's semicircle. I'm already spread out. Spread out.
Okay, now can y'all get a little closer again?
Like,
Come in here. There you go. There you go.
Okay.
Now, there you go. Okay, we don't have to touch. Just like a little bit, okay.
Get us all in.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. Thank you very good, sir. Awesome.
All right. Citizen comment, any citizen who desires to address the city council on matters not included on the agenda may do so at this time. The city council may not deliberate on these items presented underneath this agenda item.
All right.
One point two, citizens comment, any citizen who desires to address on the city council on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so at this time. And there is none. Discussion and possible actions concerning the approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on February the 12th, 2024.
Yes, corrections, recommend approval. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion Consent agenda. 4.0, boards and department reports.
Recommend approval. That's all.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm going to quickly go through my annual report with you. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So the City Administration Department, we have myself as the City Secretary and Zoning Administrator, and then we have Lucy Sharping, Administrative Secretary and Permit Technician. I will say that Lucy Sharping, she has transferred to the department as of January, so right now we've just posted a position to replace for an Executive Secretary is what we're looking for at this time. So department duties, there's quite a few of them. I don't necessarily want to go through and read them all to you, but this is something that we deal with on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis, just depending on what's going on at the time. And as far as the code of ordinances, the codification, that is an ongoing process that we go through, the building permits, of course, any issues with waste connections, good or bad, any type of servicing issues we need, or any type of service we need to address. We handle that on a daily basis. The zoning boards, the planning and zoning, we do those as we have agenda items. So they're not all the time, but they are pretty regularly. And then wayfinding program, we're about done with that. We've about got that buttoned up. We're just waiting on a few things from TechStyle. Gov bills, just like when we had our last meeting when y'all deemed a vehicle to be surplus, and we put it on the Gov bills website for auctioning. Substandard structure, that's something we're working on as a team, trying to identify those areas that need some improvement. The contracts and agreements for the keeper of the record management, so all of that goes into my vault so that I can keep up with all the contracts and agreements with the city. And then of course elections. So boards, commissions, and group committees. And this is where we provide our administrative support. So we have for City Council, the EDC, the Construction Board of Adjustments, Zoning Board of Adjustments and Appeal, Planning and Zoning, the Capital Improvement Program Committee, the Pre-Development and Construction Meetings, and then Development Meetings. For 2023, we attended, created package, or took minutes for approximately 72 meetings. So this kind of gives you a rundown of my Planning and Zoning and ZBA. So we had 7 meetings, 13 cases, 8 public hearings, 157 certified letters, 4 rezone requests, 3 zoning distinctions, 3 plat approvals, and 3 specific use permits. For ZBA, we had 2 meetings, which had 23 certified letters, and then 2 variance requests, which were reduction of parking spaces and to define improved surface. So we support the building department. So over this last year, we've actually issued about a little over 850 building permits. We educate homeowners and contractors on licensing requirements, building plans, setbacks, and inspection process. We submit work orders for taps, water meters, and electric service. We identify utility availability to the Public Works Department, and then we verify zoning to ensure land use is utilized as intended, and we facilitated about 20 or more pre-concrete development meetings and get our phone calls. And I wish I took better notes because we probably done more than that, but that's just what I could grasp at the time. Miscellaneous meetings, we do the Simtech Sustainable Partnerships. My government portal, I've been working a lot with them really closely to get things updated as I hear from customers and as I find things that I want to improve. Hill Country Coach chapter is the chapter that I'm part of my city secretary, so I do monthly meetings. I am the chair of the Nomination Scholarship Committee, and then I was just recently appointed as a communications officer. I did create a project management stress management presentation for them. We did it as we do like an educational series, and then we do that to the entire chapter. And then I was also nominated for Emerging Leader nominee this past year. And then of course, solar eclipse is the big one. We've been having frequent meetings and doing what we can to make sure that goes off the pitch. So we've been doing all the FAQs, the website updates as we see them, and we can update them. The roll-offs, crash service, I've been handling that, getting that identified so that we know where they're going to have placements of them. And then the two-way radio, just in case we need some additional communication. And then, of course, the wayfinding monthly and weekly meetings, and then the Courtyard Square Association. I traditionally join that as well. So for training, it just kind of gives you a rundown of list of webinars and the training that I've done over the past year. Some of them were for recertification from our municipal clerk certification. I had 5 years to complete it. I was able to complete it in 3, but I do have to wait for that 5-year mark before I get my distinction, if you will. But I am continuing my education in all aspects whenever I can. And then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address anything. Thank you.
City Manager's operational report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few brief comments following along the memo that's included in your packet. Getting the water supply report, we asked you, I believe, last meeting, what dates seem to work, and Monday was thrown out as maybe a better day of the week than others. We tentatively set up a March 4th meeting with Kendall Water Supply Board of Directors. It'll be at 6 p.m. here at the Cal building. Now, of course, that's subject to your confirmation tonight, and hopefully before I'm done with this paragraph. In addition to some contractually required communications in that meeting, we will also take up some discussion as we've warmed you up to it on the Georgetown tank and the potential amendment to the contract. This is going to be the same amendment that was offered to Kimber Water Supply Corp in 2011, which would allow for us to purchase a very defined small amount of water from Kimber Water. So we'll take up those items. We have also discussed this meeting and any potential engineering issues or water delivery issues that we need to address with our consulting engineers. Hostess House, we had a productive meeting on February 15th to review and provide input on the 95% plan set. As a reminder, the revised scope eliminates virtually all add alternates, and it refines square footage for the expansion. However, still provides improvements to kitchen, storage, bathrooms, code, NEP requirements. That plan set is due to hit plan rooms and will be advertised on the city's website this week. We're thinking it's going to be tomorrow or the day after. We do have a pre-bid meeting scheduled for March 13th and bid opening scheduled for March 28th. Eclipse, we continue to work with our partners, primarily Chamber, EMS, and then businesses through the Chamber and Stacy's work. Our meetings typically been focusing on deployment of staff and resources and equipment. We've identified site managers and staging areas. We have been working with TxDOT through Ryan's assistance on the city's traffic control plan. We have actually met vendors on site and toured them at different facilities so they know where they're going with the porta cans. We're going to do staging, some of them at the city yard, and then deploy them as we get closer to the event time period, which is Friday to Tuesday in our estimation. We also are developing some fairly basic protocols for traffic disruptions, utility emergencies, and requests for emergency services. And we're packaging all this up in an event playbook. March 20th is the next scheduled town hall. That will be the next scheduled and the last town hall for the Eclipse. And I think we'll have some information. Sergeant McKittrick, Jody, actually had somebody from Wyoming at their recent meeting talking about the Eclipse. And the reason we had somebody from Wyoming is because in 2017, this is what they did. And a very interesting conversation, very interesting insight. I don't think that you've got plenty of porta cans. It doesn't matter what the number is. Traffic, I think they said, started to let up. Their event was at 10 a.m. Their traffic started to let up the next morning about 4 a.m. So, Wyoming's a little different. There's not as much connectivity, not as many ways around things sometimes there. But anyway, good insight, and we'll continue to work on planning for a successful event. One thing that we will do as well is we'll probably reach out to you, not to publish this or anything like that, but in the event there is any sort of declaration that needs to be addressed or situation that needs to be communicated to, we may just take a quick roll call and see where y'all are going to be on that day. Developers meeting, we've set up a tentative, it's more than a tentative, we're going to shoot for March 21st for developers meeting. A relatively small group of residential and commercial builders and developers. We also, at Councilmember Hernandez's suggestion, want to include some utility staff. And I have also discussed this with Jason Jones, and maybe something he would sit in on, as he's done a lot of our long-range water planning and system modeling. The idea is we want to, have a fairly informal meeting, but we also want to assess, whatever alignment or whatever deficiencies we may have in our utilities versus where the obvious growth patterns are. So I think, look forward to that. I think it will be a fairly open and flowing conversation. Hopefully provide us some insight as well as get some insight from the developers.
On that meeting, Finley, is that going to be like advertised, or are we going to send out? I mean, how's that going to be
It's
handled?
going to be a relatively small group. I think it'll be a personal invitation.
Okay.
Will Frank be there also?
Pardon?
Will Frank be there also?
Well, you certainly will be if you can. CIP had our first meeting of the budget year 25 it's already 2025. It sounds like a long way off. It's not that long. We're going to start planning for that fiscal budget here pretty quick. One of the first steps we have towards that is our CIP committee and starting that process. They will be assessing capital needs for the next 5 years prior to the budget process. And typically for the first meeting, we take a look at where we've been and where we are going. I also wanted to report to you that we have a current vacancy on the committee, and I would suggest council maybe fill that at the next meeting if we have some ideas on that. Rural transportation, at the request of the county judge, the mayor and staff met with the county judge and to talk about the rural transportation district. As you know, that through the budget process, the city actually participated with the county to provide funding for the rural transportation arm of the district to keep the same level of services in Lampasas. It's now come to light, as the judge described, we don't have any specific information, there's nothing that's terribly defined, that there may be some discussion among the Bell County, maybe Coryell County, about trying to do something different, doing their own thing to really focus in on their needs in terms of urban transportation. We don't know what that will mean in terms of the overall district. By virtue of us being a part of this district, we are eligible for funds. So when people think, well, the county hasn't given us any money. Our participation in that district, by virtue of that allocates certain federal funds. So it's not like we bring nothing to the table, and certainly we have some unique needs. We're going to attend their meeting February 29th and report any action, but as I said, at this point, there is some uncertainty. However, we currently don't know what the urban position is. We'll know more hopefully on the 29th. LADC met on February 21st, continued to discuss strategic action steps, updated demographic information, and prospecting opportunities. Stacy also provided recent reports on retention work in cooperation with the Chamber, the successful entrepreneurial summit, and other city-related economic development activity. The only other thing that I would want to add to the report, it looks like the engine The new date for the engine is on or about March 28th, Chief?
Yes, sir.
We'll be looking for that, be pushing, we will need some strong backs to push that into the phase, so be prepared. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor's comment, I got a few comments tonight, and sat in a fascinating meeting this morning with President of our LRCA, Phil Wilson.
Phil Wilson, LCRA.
LCRA, what did I say? LCRA. Okay. Phil Wilson, and he's president. I was greatly impressed with what he had to say about our city and our power, and just about how it's being managed, and I just kind of want to take this time to thank Finley for what you guys have done here in our city, and I didn't realize it went all the way back to 1940, so it's not something that's just happened yesterday. We've got, some tremendous growth here in Central Texas that obviously always puts some pressure with where we're at on the grid, and after speaking with him and listening to him, I got full confidence that we're going in the right direction, and our city's going in the right direction as far as how we're being ahead. Upon that, I want to thank our council. Finley, he gave a glowing financial report at our last council meeting, and just want to encourage each one of us to watch our P's and Q's and be fiscally responsible for our city's finances. And I thank our staff for everything that you guys have done. All that being said, we're going to do business, discussion and acceptance of the fiscal year 22-23 year-end financial report.
Mayor and Council, this was presented to you at the previous meeting. I'd be happy to answer any questions on it. I think it does give a fair idea of the performance, fair perspective of the performance. And again, this is prior to auditors' adjustments.
I move to accept the financial report of 2023 year-end, this financial report as presented.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
7.2, discussion and possible action regarding the memorandum of the understanding between the city of Lampasas and Lampasas Trails regarding the hike and bike trails at the 580 Sports Complex.
Mayor, Council, thank you. This is a MOU that we discussed on the last council meeting, February 12th. Talked through some of the points. It remains in the same state as when we discussed it, so this is being brought back to consider the motion to approve, or I'll stand also for any questions. And we also have Shannon Martin with us tonight. If there is any questions in regards to the trails, but the MOU, I think we're in agreement. We've worked through a lot of things, so.
Make a motion to approve the MOU for hike and bike trails at our sports complex.
Second.
Any discussion, questions?
I'd like to ask Mr. Martin if there's anything in this document that he thought needed to be changed, or is he happy with it?
I believe he's happy with it, but
Okay.
And then if there's anything going further with this golf course, it's going to be working together.
right. Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Thank you all. Thank you.
7.3, discussion and possible action regarding the approval of memorandum between the agreement, the United States Army, Garrison, USDA, and the Central Texas surrounding cities for Centex Sustainable Community Partnership.
workshop. And at this time, as Mr. Councilman Titus pointed out, that there's not a whole lot of marketing and promoting for this event. So I will work diligently on making sure that it's put out more and the events are more published out and marketed properly going forward. But I am very excited to be part of this organization, and it's a really good partnership. So I do encourage that y'all would consider our motion to approve the memorandum of agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve the memorandum of agreement between the United States Army Garrison and Central Texas surrounding cities for Syntax Sustainable Communities Partnership for a term of 10 years with a term end date of July 15th, 2034.
Second.
Any discussion, any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
7.4, discussion and possible action to reappoint Gordon Thornton to the Airport Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Mayor and Council, this is a little late in the year, and I realize that, but this board does not meet very often. And Mr. Thornton actually overlooked my request to see if he wanted to renew on this board. So he came and spoke with me in January, and he's submitted his application. So at this time, I'm recommending approval to go ahead and reappoint him to this board.
Move to reappoint Gordon Thornton to the Airport Zoning Board of Adjustments.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
7.5, discussion and possible action regarding generation design to include assistance for bid and construction phase by M&S Engineering Firm for WWTP Spring Street Plant and animal shelter in amount not to exceed $70,000 to be funded with the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This was a project that we kicked off, actually, our proposal was brought to council that was approved on 9/13 of 2022 with Schneider Electric. This is the same generation project that we had brought to council before. So as far as the actual project and the work, Schneider did come to the city. They did a site visit. They did put together a 46-page draft bid document. And in that, it does lay out some of the things that were asked for. So there was things that they charged us for. That initial proposal was for $30,000 not to exceed. And at some point, and that was in and around, I believe, June, when we received the initial draft document, reached back out, made some corrections, sent it back, and I had made other requests from them as far as, where are we at? A lot of the corrections I had, minus the actual site-specific design for each location, was not complete. The draft document lays out some generator sizes, so there are some things in there that will help us move forward. However, on February 13th, I did, with discretion and talking with the city manager, made the decision to cancel that contract. We've had no more communication as far as I've reached out. I've had no feedback back to see where we're at, if any of the corrections to that draft bid document were made. And initially, very similar to what you're seeing tonight. So what we brought to you tonight is M&S Engineering, who engineered the electrical design for the business park, is actually a company that we've been working closely with. They're very responsive. We would like to keep moving forward on the generation project. There's ARPA funds that we have dedicated about $450,000 initially to this project. And looking at generator size, and if we go back before that, before those dates when we initially talked about that first proposal, there was some concerns when we tried to not necessarily bypass the design process, but to get some of the electrical companies to say, hey, this is the size you need, here's what we can do it for. There was too many unknowns, that's why we did the proposal initially. some unknowns as far as how long the conduit runs are, where's that gonna be placed? And to make sure that all the contractors have the exact same scope, much like we're doing with the hostess house, we wanna make sure everybody's bidding on the same, items. This particular contract, after we've went ahead and canceled our contract with Schneider, M&S, is noted as not to exceed 70,000. There's a few things that we'd like to share with that. So there's some things out of this draft, that we did get from Schneider that can be used as part of the engineering process. So that document is helpful. One of the key things that I've tried to stress to the engineering firm, M&S, is, if council decides to move forward on this proposal, what is the time frame? I think that's important. When you're talking about ARPA funds, we've lost some time with the Schneider proposal as far as trying to get us to that end goal. I think invoicing, and there may be some past December of 2024, but I think the goal for ARPA funds is to try to have everything invoiced at that point. So I'll stress that to them. The response was, we feel like we can, once we get the proposal, we can have the design done, ready to sit down with you in about 8 weeks time frame. So that's pretty expeditious. If we can kind of move that forward. I think our initial goal in talking with M&S is to phase this in a sense that we can go ahead with the information that we get, what are the generators we need, and then we will probably put the bid out as far as whoever the contractor will be to install those, make all the electrical connections, do that type of work. And so basically this particular proposal is for design, surveying, electrical aspects of it, bid and construction phase support. So there are some things that weren't included as far as in Snyder's initial proposal, where they'll come out and do construction inspection and engineering related activities. So stand for any questions.
When it comes down to the Snyder, how much do we pay them out of that 30,000?
Out of the 30,000, I've got the invoices here, and council's welcome to see them. The actual total dollar amount was $15,921.25.
16,000?
Almost 16,000, that's correct.
And do you believe that they were in breach of the contract we originally had?
I think the way it's structured currently is, as they bill us, they actually bill for the time. And in these invoices, I have them all here, they did break down the amount of hours they spent. They came out and did a site visit. There were 2 engineers that day. It's hard to speak to the work that went on at the office. They have it broken down like most professional services do. This many hours with this admin, this many hours with an engineer 3, this many, so it's broken down. I think the draft bid document does show that they spent some time on it. That's hard to say.
I just wonder so there's no way that they breached that contract, we just had to just let them out of it essentially.
Well, to my understanding to date, that's right, what we've been billed and invoiced, we've paid up to date on the amount of work that they have done,
So we've got a little bit of information from there that might help M&S. That original bid was 30,000 for all this engineering. We paid 16 of it, and now we're gonna go pay another 70 to fix what Snyder didn't do. We're gonna be in around 90 or 86,000 when it's all said and done.
Yeah, not to exceed 70,000. The one thing I would say, talking with M&S and talking with their engineer, is that was a not to exceed, hit the ground running number that they proposed. There's items in there that I'm not so sure we're gonna need, talking with them, and they'll only bill us for what they actually do. I'm hoping it is less than the $70,000, not to exceed, but, if there's some things that come up, then I guess it could get to that point. I don't foresee it getting to the 70,000.
So even a blanket with a cap on there when it's got burnt. That's my frustration. That's not towards you, right?
No, I understand.
Councilmember Morris, there's no question that we will not get the value of the $16,000, in my opinion.
Yes, sir.
What's the difference between M&S's quote and, Snyder's.
So-
Why is there such a big?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things there, so how they're integrating our scaling, so I put as much information as good in that summary, which doesn't cover everything, but the biggest differences are the construction services, so if they come out, and again, much like some of our other engineering proposals, if we don't use those construction services, we don't need that, for whatever reason, the company and the contractor is competent, and we don't necessarily need oversight, inspection field, those fees aren't gonna be put in there. To me, that's probably one of the biggest things, is their construction engineering management of the project, that Snyder, was mainly focused on the design, what we asked in the plans.
So they are doing some of the construction, not just MEPs.
Right. If the city, when we get to that point, if that's an ask from us, we feel that we need to have that oversight.
What do we have budgeted for this? Is it what Snyder quoted us? Is that what's in the budget?
Well, our engineering budget is, in each department is a much broader number. I mean, while this was a project that was budgeted,
Yeah, I understand that, but I know when you put your budget together, you factored in a certain amount for this project, I'm sure.
Right.
So what did you factor in?
I think the total budget for our engineering services is about $100,000 typically, what we do for professional services, which is engineering surveying.
Councilmember Hernandez, these are ARPA funds as well. We've got, I think, you have the latest balance sheet you got last year. Currently, there's about $950,000 remaining in the ARPA fund, Fund 35. The earmark for this project from the ARPA funds was $450,000.
Including actual generator and the whole shebang.
It's $450,000 to get everything done, yes.
Are there any one of those ARPA funds that are going towards, that we need to pay for the fires when it gets here?
So I think the remainder of those funds were earmarked primarily for some looping projects.
That's great.
And we may be able to, once we get a little further along, we may be able to say, hey, we've got an extra $100,000 that we can put towards generation, or we might come back to you and say, we've got another looping project that we could also fund with these. But ultimately, we're sticking with the original earmark unless we come back to council and say, we're gonna go up or down on that.
I think it was a different project, or did we discuss at some point the generator itself, cost of
I don't know exactly what their cost, but I'm thinking they're gonna be significantly over the $100,000. I think initially, when we looked at, as the manager said, earmarking those funds, $450,000, we felt like was gonna get the generators and installed where there might be more money needs out of the budget to, build it out. Now, I think, 100,000, probably not. I think it's gonna be closer, just for the generators, I think,
I guess what I'm
$200,000
trying
to
to put
$300,000.
together in my mind is $450,000 is earmarked for this project. Will that get us the M&S engineering, the generator, the switchgear, the ATS, a little bit of construction, will it cover that? Or is there gonna be
I mean,
some
I would like to give you an exact number, until we go out for bids, we're not really gonna know what that's gonna cost. Now, we can get real numbers for the generators, once we've got those sizes, we'll know that. It'll just be, when we go out for bid, to have the contractor do it, it's hard to say what that's gonna cost. It's all relative to where do they place the generator on this site, how far away is it, how much conduit, conductors, copper now is, like everything else, significantly higher. So it all depends on that placement, is what those bids will be.
Now, there's not a generator on that facility.
Right. And as the manager had mentioned, I did do some research, so we are allowed to use those ARPA funds for design as well. So I did do a little bit of research on that as far as ARPA money, so it can be used for that.
And we're looking at 4 generators.
So you'll have Spring Street, which is our pump station over here. Then you'll have the animal shelter, the wastewater treatment facility, of the main. I think that's
Well, if it's over 100 and we're looking at 4, that may be more fair.
and it all depends on the sizes of those generators, as well. So.
It's not that comfortable with the number 70. If we're paying them as they bill, I'd rather go with the lower number, and if the project's moving along great, we can talk about getting some more money towards them, but with a busted deal and then doubling the money, I'm just not comfortable with that.
How are we gonna, I guess, basically hold their feet to the fire and make sure we're as efficient as possible on our spending here? That's my question, similar to Councilman Morris. Because if we give them a 70 carte blanche number, they'll probably push it right to that amount.
Right. No, I think it's a good question, a good comment. It'll be at least staff's directive as we go through the process to make sure some of the things, or we feel like that we're comfortable enough with some of those things that maybe we don't need that. But I understand, when you say not to exceed 70,000, and the contractor, sometimes they'll build up to 70,000, but yeah, it would be up to staff to make sure what the final ask is and what, is covered here in the proposal. All these things are going to come up and be needed. Like one of the things in there is request for information, RFIs, managing that. That's somebody's time. If there's not a lot of RFIs because the city purchased the generators, you cut some of that out. And so, I think they're looking at it from kind of a holistic approach. Hey, these are all the things that could happen. This is why, because I asked them that specific thing about the number. I said, a little bit definitely higher than our last proposal from the other engineering firm. But I think that was their premise, is to make sure everything's covered, whether we need some of those things or not, as we go through the process.
They'd be open to if we approved for a lower number, but they came back and things were going fine. I mean,
I don't think it would be out of the question to ask, as far as if we wanted to. I think it's a lot like when you do like a design build. If you get to the point where you're like, I don't need this, strike this one out, we can go back if there's specific things and say, could you bring us back another proposal? I think my biggest,
you ran into that with the hostess house, it's more money, we call it the design on there, and then that project got delayed and more coming back here. I mean, I know it needs to get done, but.
Yeah. I think it's hard because there's a time frame involved for sure in this one. Because you got the ARPA funding, you want to make sure you're using those monies, before the end of 2024 if you can.
They're not using that money, because we have a lot of projects we use that money on. I guess, I move to approve generation design that include assistance with bid and construction phase by M&S engineering firm for the wastewater treatment plant, spring street plant, and the animal shelter. And the amount at this time, not exceed 30,000. With open to to additional funding if needed. To be funded with American Rescue Plan Act.
I'll second that.
Any questions?
Yeah, I've got do we have to have engineering for this project?
We do. That's what we ran into initially. I want to preface, and what we initially thought is we could have one of the electrician firms and multiple, with a dollar amount, you're going to have at least 3, put a bid in. But after, there was a few of them that actually looked at it. One of the engineering firms, or one of the electrical firms that works on our wastewater plant, the one that we use significantly for specific items out there, they were the ones that we were kind of looking to. And initially they said, yeah, we think we could do it, for X number of dollars, working with our water manager. And then as other bidders or, people that were at least considering looking at the project that were electrical contractors, they got out there and they're like, so, you have a number from one, but this other one's totally off because they're like, well, I would set it over here, probably need this size. And so there were some discrepancies in what they were thinking that the project was, and so it wasn't consistent with getting a straightforward bid, being over that dollar amount made sense. We're going to go out for bids.
What are these companies, can I ask that?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask what companies they were?
I do know, yeah, Morales is one of them. Not sure who the other ones are that man talked with, but Morales is the one that does most of our electrical work around the plant, lift stations. They do a lot of electrical work for us, so they're very familiar with the plant. And they weren't comfortable after we, told them what we wanted to do. Initially, they were, and then when their main electrician came out, he said, "No, I really need some plans to know where to run things and come into the plants."
Any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Mayor and council, this bid amount will probably require us to negotiate scope. And just make sure, does council want us to come back with the approved scope for that dollar amount? Or the agreed to scope?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
7.6, discussion and possible action to allow staff to purchase the new 2024 Ford Explorer Interceptor in the amount not to exceed $80,000 for each department to replace the 2016 Ford Interceptor that was totaled in January 2024.
Mayor and council, good evening. Unfortunately, in early January, one of our patrolmen initiated or intentionally initiated a traffic stop on 190. He violated fled all the way to Copper's Cove. He pursued that far and didn't negotiate curve very well in the neighborhood in the southwest part of town. Constructed fencing, some large landscaping rocks, and stood up next to a house. Fortunately, he did very minimal damage to the structures in the home and no one was injured. Also, fortunately, he was driving one of our 2016 Ford Explorer Interceptors that is 8.5 years old and had just a few miles, 6 to be exact, short of 77,000 miles. So of all the ones that have been in, it was one of the more favorable. So working with TML, seeing where we're at on it, they offered us $9,050 if we would just let them take the vehicle, and of course they'd have it salvaged. If we wanted to keep it, they'd give us $6,050. They also would not insure it except for liability, so it would be uninsured to be able to repair it again and have a salvage time. So we would have the option to repair it and have a repaired vehicle with only a salvage title with liability insurance, 8.5 years old with 77,000 miles. Doing the math, we got an estimate to repair it. It cost about $13,000 to repair it. We deducted that $6,050 that TML would give us back. We're basically buying that vehicle for $7,000. It was scheduled to not go on the budget that we're about to start now, but next budget year to be replaced. It would have about $100,000 on it by our average estimate at 14 years old, and it's usually what we get. So we made the decision already that it wasn't probably financially sound to try to invest that money in that. And also we were a little concerned with having a vehicle on the road with a salvage title and assumed we wouldn't have any further problems related to the wreck or coincidentally just a transmission and engine blow after getting it back and figuring it out. So we've accepted the $6,050 and let us set aside for us to use. I'm sorry, we accepted the $9,050. They had taken the salvage to do with what they wanted. We're done with that. So here's the money sitting here. We have a decision to make. We need a patrol car. We have $9,050. So Lieutenant Montgomery has acquired an estimate for if we wanted to purchase a new patrol car in advance with y'all's permission to replace this one. It would take us 6 to 8 months on estimate to get it somewhere around the end of the summer and the fall. So with most of all the equipment we would need, give or take a few bucks, around $78,420, minus our $9,050 that we received from TML, for about $69,370, we could be into a new car roughly into the summer, first of fall, to replace this one we wrecked, which would be approximately a year to a year and a half in advance from what we would have replaced it anyway. And this young man needs a car to drive, so we got it fixed up with another one now, we're surviving. But we would certainly like to go ahead and ask your permission to make this advanced purchase to get it replaced. If you don't mind considering it.
You said that total price is $69,870.
it take a buck or two. Everything we believe we need into it, it's driving getting on. And there's always a couple incidents, the wire didn't work, there was a break, there was something we had to. But the car itself will be $78,420.80 with everything that we think we need right now to get in it. It's up for $9,050 TML has given us that we already have, and that's $69,370.80. With permission for a little wiggle room there in case we need to go out, we can always take that out of the road line items such as a big repair.
How much wiggle room is there?
Sorry,
About how much wiggle room there on top of that 70?
apologize again, I didn't.
About how much wiggle room on top of that 70?
Oh, you know, trying to pin Lieutenant Montgomery down on these, he likes to have a little wiggle room because you just never know. But I can't imagine being, I mean, we've asked for not to exceed the 80, you know, and that's wiggle room of $2,570.20. Chuck's last words were, if you can give me 80, I promise we'll never go over it. So that's what I can tell you, sir. We'll do our best to stay as under it. And, you know, to give you an example, like, for instance, when this car was wrecked, we pulled every piece of equipment out. We had, Phil's was nice enough for a minimal charge to bring it back to the bar. Last week, Chuck went out in between calls with a toolkit and stripped everything he could out of it to include a cage. We took that cage back and put it in retired Sergeant Barrio's code enforcement car that didn't have a cage because he traditionally didn't need one. I'm assuming years ago we made the decision to save money, not put a cage in it for $3,000. So we put that cage in his car and it's going to one of our younger patrolmen because it still has a couple of years left. I just use that as an example to show you we do the very best we can, utilize our time and our resources to try to save everything we can. But there's always unforeseen things. We'll try our best to stay way under the 80,000 if you kind of see that.
Was this already budgeted for this year, Jody, or are you planning on budgeting for FY25?
It would have been in the budget year 24-25. So the one we're about to start now, when we start in October, would be in that. So about this time next year, we'll be talking about putting in the next year's budget.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the purchase of a 2024 Ford Explorer Interceptor in an amount not to exceed $80,000 to replace the 2016 Ford Explorer Interceptor that was totaled in January of 2024.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
7.7, discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of 2 new police department vehicles to replace one 2014 F-150 Animal Patrol truck and one 2014 Chevrolet Tahoe that are budgeted for FY 2023-2024.
Again, Mayor and Council, I appreciate your time on this. If you'll recall, council meeting before last, Finance Director Montgomery came and asked for a budget amendment. What this was about was, 2 years ago at this time, we were preparing our budget. Cars were getting short, for various reasons, no chips, no work, COVID, and they were slowing down and not producing cars. We budgeted for one patrol car, which was just a natural rotation to replace an overhaul, and we budgeted for one investigator pickup, again, to replace an overhaul. That was approved, we went to the budget year. Those cars were not delivered, to back up. And then we added to that budget 2 SRO vehicles, 2 new SROs. We're going back budget year before last. Those 4 vehicles were not delivered all last budget year. When the budget closed this last October, that money went back somewhere where it goes in accounting. She came to you because the cars started being produced, we were told, in early fall. And into the fall, they had no vehicles, they were starting to come in. And they're coming and they're telling us, we don't know when, you'll get one, you may get the other, we're not sure exactly. Started telling us where in the production line they were, they're arriving here, they're there. They started showing up in Houston around the end of the year, the first of the year. So she came to you to ask permission to buy those cars that we had budgeted for over 2 years ago that are now just starting to come in around the first of the year a few months ago. So what this is about is also in this budget year now, it started October 1st, we budgeted for a replacement vehicle, patrol car, and an animal control truck. We intended to ask for permission last council meeting 2 weeks ago for these, we forgot to get it on to the agenda item to go with those others to explain all this at once. So the ones we're talking about now are this budget year that we're spending money in, they're just now coming in, like our regularly rotating vehicle, patrol vehicle, plus the animal control truck, which again is just to replace over 10-year-old 9 miles a year. And that's what this is about. It's budgeted money that's in this year's budget.
It was budgeted a couple of years ago now, vehicles weren't bought, where did the money budgeted towards those vehicles go, was it surplus?
Again, it's confusing, and I apologize that we just simply did not get this on the agenda of council before last. The ones that Finance Director Montgomery asked about 2 weeks ago, those were from 2 years ago. They were 2 SRO vehicles added, plus a patrol and a investigator pickup, which made 4 vehicles. All of last year's budget that ended October 1st, they did not come in that entire year. So we're talking 2 years ago, we were talking about this time putting this in the budget. So she came to you, council meeting before last, and said cars are starting to come. We never got these, we need them desperately. But we need a budget, and the money was in that budget year before last, and budget surplus, I believe it's called, and it goes back into a fund that I don't know the name of, it sits there, I guess. And there it is waiting for them to come in, and y'all agreed to allow us to move the money back into this budget from there to purchase those 4. Now, these right here are the budget that we are spending money in right now. It started October 1st, that only a year ago, not 2 years ago, we asked to put the budget that was approved for it last summer. It started October 1st. So those cars are coming in because all the cars are now finally being produced. So this is a regular rotation vehicle and a regular rotation animal control truck. We need a budget for this year.
I just remember, Pro Tem Morris, if I could just answer your question, any surplus within a fund, if there is surplus at the end of the fiscal year, that stays in that fund. You often hear us refer to fund balance. When we show you a balance sheet, you can actually see what dollars, a snapshot of what dollars are in those accounts. In this case, the 4 previous vehicles, and we're not talking really about the 4 previous vehicles, but the accounting of it was that those dollars were out of fund balance, but not only that, if you look closely on some of the financials I look at, Yvonne also had that money encumbered. It doesn't mean it's approved, but it means there's a placeholder there for, I believe it was $248,000 for the cars that we had not been able to take delivery of. So it is fund balance. It was an encumbered amount. And there you go. And now the dollar amount that we're talking about now is our current budget.
Sounds good, thank you. I just wanted to get that cleared up in the budget.
I can understand because I've been working for days trying to explain it to y'all that screwed it up, and it is confusing. So, please, I'll be glad to try again.
I want to hear you try again.
I apologize, we didn't have it 2 weeks ago, we had the information, it should have been presented all at the same time. Here I am.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of 1 2024 Ford Explorer Interceptor for patrol in the amount of $61,980.50. 1 2024 Ford F-150 pickup for the animal shelter in the amount of $45,084.25, and the necessary equipment costing $15,203.25, of which $12,266 actual, $1,000 actual, $1937.25 incidentals, for a total of $122,268. All of which are budgeted for the current 23-24 budget year.
So any other discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much, appreciate it. Very happy to not so nervous to throw to run out of cars.
7.8, discussion and possible action to approve 2018 General Engineering Services Contract Task Order 44, Western Avenue Culvert Replacement Tuckerman Engineering, in the amount of $28,250, with the latitude to negotiate the easement document with property owners if needed, in the amount of $1,500 each.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Hate to bring you two in the same night because I know we just talked through one. This particular project was added to the CIP last year. There was a call that had come in to myself asking could I come look at this culvert. This culvert's actually, I don't know if you can pull that up, Becky. Okay. So you can kind of see on the map, it's between North and, you've got North and First, kind of in the center there. I'm sure y'all are familiar with this area. But one of the residents that adjoins the creek there, Cemetery Creek, I think is the creek, it actually has deteriorated the wall underneath there, and there's pictures too placed in there. But the old structure was kind of a stacked rock wall, you can see in the photos. And when we looked at this last year, to me, with my background, always doing engineering and roadway, bridges, culverts, that's what I did for about 15 years. When I saw this, I was very concerned, and so reached out to Ackerman Engineering. He came out with an assessment, and these pictures are recent, so it wasn't that bad when I saw it a year ago. It was bad then. But you can see how it's deteriorated. There's really nothing holding it up. That would be the south side of the culvert that y'all have just looked at. This would be the north side if you're heading towards north. And you can see there's no bottom, no concrete bottom or anything to this old structure. The bottom of that rock wall is elevated above ground. It's pretty amazing, how it's functioning. But the more deterioration from storms that we get, heavy rainfall, is going to continue to deteriorate this, and that's why I had reached back out to Ackerman Engineering. When I saw it, you can see the hole there. So that hole that you can kind of see daylight through at the top there was actually kind of a quasi, that's where the curb and gutter drops water down. It's kind of a hand-formed area. But you can see there's not much left, so that's opening up more with every event, most likely. So we're hoping, and talking with Derek, he can expedite this. Basically, this project or proposal would be for replacing the culvert with a new structure. It would accommodate the requirements now for design, so the handrail, somebody doesn't fall off of the top of it. It's about a 12. I can't remember the height. No, it's not 12 foot. I want to say it's maybe 8 foot under there for the height of it, and I think it's a little over 12 foot wide, that new structure. So it's to accommodate those things, sidewalk. You basically on a project like this, you're going to have to go a little bit further than that, cut the road, build your structure, close both sides, where we still give residents access if the road would be closed. But really trying to, expedite the actual design of this so we could get it out for bid.
Ryan, how often do these get inspected, and who inspects it, and how many more of these projects do we have around?
That's a great question. I can fill you in on some of that, Mayor. So these types of structures, and I'm trying to go off memory, I want to say it's 20 feet. If it falls, so years ago, and everybody probably remembers when the feds stepped in, we had bridges falling down across the United States. The feds stepped in and created what's called the BRINSAT program. It's a bridge reporting system. TxDOT has one, and they basically made the states kind of the fiscal owner of all these bridges and maintenance and everything else, even if it was off system. So if this bridge or this culvert structure had been wider, it would have fallen into their purview, and TxDOT would be the one, working with us to replace it. But currently, I've looked at this one, there's another one up on Main, there's 3 structures like this. The other 2, as you work your way back to Key, are not nearly in the shape that this one is. And of course, this proposal takes into account some drainage, upstream, downstream, enough of a study when they go in and topo that area and survey it, that he can kind of define, too, and run the calcs to figure out what are we talking about, how much water. Because I think really that's what's happened is it's just, it's an old structure that's just deteriorated, but as you get these heavy rains, it really impacts it more because the channel kind of hits it from an angle and then turns into the box. That's why it's blowing that one wall out. That's why you're seeing, that. Plus the water coming off the gutter and just dropping down in there has got back behind the rock over time and pushed that down.
So there's two others that you can't find some.
2 others at some point, not nearly as, as in this condition. The other ones are still holding up very well.
So you said it was a certain way with TxDOT would take care of it when you rebuild this and that.
Well, you're restricted by the width of that channel. So ultimately, yeah, you could build it and meet 20 foot. The problem with building at 20 foot is if your stream bed's only this wide, you're going to start getting scouring. When you push those bridges or you push it wider, the banks are going to want to meander and spread out to that where you're trying to control those banks. Because obviously you got houses right next to the creek, so you're trying to keep it within its bounds as much as you can. But that's definitely something I can ask.
I just didn't know like how under you were with it. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely something I can ask the engineer for sure. But he will size the structure, but we can talk about, making it wider, what the impacts would be. Your biggest thing is the height. You gotta keep that open at least what it is now, to carry that amount of flow through there. So it could be a little bit wider, depending on what the topo survey says.
I move to approve the 2018 General Engineering Service Contract Task Order 44, Western Avenue Culvert Replacement with Ackerman Engineering Incorporated, in the amount of $28,250 for applicant to negotiate easy dock with property owners and deed, in the amount of $1,500.
second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
7.9, discussion of possible action to close First Street between Live Oak and Yukon, beginning at 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, April 27th. The Courtyard Square Association citywide garage sale will be held at 9 a.m.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This request is similar to what has been requested in the past. The Courtyard Square Association previously goes to garage sales twice a year, and they stopped right around 2019, 2020. But we're going to pick that up again this year. So we're just asking that we close the road between Live Oak and Pecan, beginning at 5:30 a.m. in the morning to allow time for the vendors to set up, and then we'll remove everything by 4 when they all are picked up and then gone home.
I make a motion to approve closing Third Street between Live Oak and Pecan beginning at 5:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, April 27th, 2024. For the Courtyard Square Association citywide garage sale to be held from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
7.10, discussion of possible action regarding the lease of 2024 Club Car Depot, Lithium Fleet Rental Cars, and 2 2024 Club Cars, CA 500 gas utility work cars at Hancock Park, Golf Course.
Hello, Mayor, Council. So what this is about, we currently lease Lampasas golf carts. We've leased them for over the last 20 years. We're always on a 3-year lease. The current carts we got them in 2020. Our lease was up in October of 2023. So I called our Yamaha rep back in when we were doing budget, and I got some numbers from him to budget for it. And he gave me numbers of about $44.50 a month for the 40 golf cars and the 2 golf cars. So with that being said, we're getting close to October, and I'm saying, okay, I've got to get this going. Well, they have no golf cars. He says, you're looking probably the first of the year. I'm like, okay, so we've been paying the same amount of lease, which is, we pay $3,215 a month for 40 golf carts and 2 work cars. We got all. Anyway, so first of the year comes around, they have no golf carts. He's saying, we'll just extend these out till October of 2024. Well, I've got carts that are not making 18 holes, for sure not 36 holes, they're running down holes. Which they said they would come in and replace batteries, blah, blah, but they're getting pretty bad shape too. So anyway, Christopher and I did, so we thought, you know what, if we're gonna do this, we either need to do it now and get good golf carts, because I can't wait till October for what I have. So we got a hold of Eastgill and Flipkart, And if you look at Easy Go, for the 40 golf carts, and let me back up, the carts we currently have are lead acid batteries, which they still make them, but everybody's getting away from them going to lithium because they last longer and can go a lot more rounds, which means obviously that's more money. So Easy Go, they don't have lead acid batteries anymore, but they quoted us a price of $5,923.32 for 60 months. And then Club Card quoted us a price of $5,668.36 for 42 months. 60 months is entirely, is too long. You can see, actually, Easy Go was more money for 60 months. And when they actually brought us a golf cart, and to demo them, it wasn't very good. But anyway, so with all that being said, I did budget $4,450 in this current budget that we have. We've been paying $3,200, so we've saved a little bit of money. So basically this year, from April, we're hoping if this gets approved, we get carts in April, start our payment in April. Through September, we'll have to come up with $7,300. It's not budgeted, but we did make it up a little bit, paying the $3,215 a month.
It's been over the past couple of years for your office, too, hadn't it? It's been pretty busy.
Oh, yes, and yes, we bring in just off 18 home car rentals, we bring in 161,000. So last year we brought in just on 18 home car rentals, 161,880, and we paid out $3,800,580 lease. And actually, you can add another 11,000, 12,000 on that count, not 9 home rentals. We just didn't do that on that. But yes, we're still bringing it to revenue on it. It's just, and with that being said too, we've talked about maybe raising it. This might be an opportunity to raise it a few dollars if we need to also. We can definitely do that. That shouldn't be a problem.
What does it cost to rent a golf cart?
Right now, if you were to come and play golf for a golf cart, you pay your green fee, and the golf cart's $15.
Is that a standard rate?
Yeah, it is. We actually look around 15, 18, some are 20. So we're in the ballpark. We could stand and go up a couple of dollars to make up the difference that we're going to have on the lease.
How many rentals do you think you get in a month?
Oh gosh, in a month we'll bring in, I can't see the exact number of rentals, but we'll bring in during busy time, well, like right now, we'll bring in $6,000 to $8,000. Right this time of year, during busy time of year, we'll bring in $12,000 to $18,000, $15,000. We bring in roughly 170 to 175, 78,000 in rentals just on car rentals.
So you think we could go up about $5?
Yes, I wouldn't go much more than that.
I think we could just go up 250.
Because, what people look at when they go play golf, you talk about your green fees. What they look at is the number, like say it's $54 to play numbers for it. I'm just throwing that out there.
Here they get to drive around in a new rig.
That's true.
That's for $5.
Right, and that's what we're saying now is, they're saying, you want one car rental? Yeah, we get brand new lithium carts. Yeah, enjoy it. So basically, I just wanted to explain all that, but, so, we're recommending go with, Club Card for 40, lithium battery carts and 2 work carts for $68,020.32 annually, but that will basically start next year.
So we would approve the lease 40 golf carts and 2 utility work carts, Club Card golf carts for an amount of $68,020.32 annually.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor? Do we need to have a motion to go up on that rate?
Well, and that's something that we usually take to the advisory board first, and then bring it back to y'all.
So,
That's not on the agenda either, so we'll bring it back as a separate item.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank y'all very much.
7.11, discussion and possible action to approve placement of a sign in the residential First Street Church of Christ.
Okay, Mayor and Council, so on your dais, I left you some of my notes, so you'll have the sign renderings with the zoning, and then you'll have my sign ordinance that I kind of highlighted in green, so you have this to refer to as I go through this. So this is kind of a unique situation. So during plan review and sign specs that were submitted with the application for the new sign with domestic capabilities for First Street Church of Christ, the language in the sign regs for permitted signs did not allow latitude or exception for churches. Well, in our zoning regs, churches can go anywhere. There is no specific area of town where you can prohibit or not allow a church. It's residential, it's commercial, it's retail, it's able to go anywhere. Well, the sign ordinances don't align with that. So when you're looking at a church placement for a sign, it's showing that it's, you can't have a sign in a non-residential neighborhood because it's prohibited. But a church can go in a residential neighborhood. So it's kind of contradictory, it doesn't align really well together. So it's one area that we know we need to work on. But because when we go through and we modify ordinances and we have the regulatory authority to be able to make concession when it comes to placement of signs, that's why I'm coming to you for consideration, to be able to approve the sign as written, or as the placement of it. Now, this does not mean that it's going to be approved as is. We still have to work on the sign placement of it, the visibility triangle, the size of it, what's the brightness of the light. So there's other things we're going to have to go through with the developer or the property owner, but at this time, I just want to make sure that I can get y'all's consideration to go ahead and approve the sign placement.
Make a motion to approve placement of the sign on North Avenue in Walnut for First Street Church of Christ, with the understanding that the staff will ensure all other sign placements will comply with the sign ordinance to include height, maximum area based on the sign type, brightness, visibility, triangle, and structure.
Second.
Any discussion?
We just have an amendment there, say, on the second sentence, say, the staff will ensure all other sign set placements or what?
Sorry, sign requirements?
I was asking that.
Oh.
Councilman Curran.
Requirements, what I said. Okay. Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
All in favor?
One second, no. And then, when you said that you come back to council for placement, just to make sure there's no problem with safety or anything like that.
That's already going to be vetted. We'll already make sure that the side triangle is identified, the height is proper, we'll do all that. But I just wanted to, because this is the first time it's really come up. We don't really have any churches and signs go up at the same time. So it was kind of new because we did a sign. So I was going through it, I just realized that they don't align properly. So, and there is no, I guess a variance in the ordinance to state that it's okay if it's a church, because it would be separate. But, so I need to work on that and get that aligned together. So it's
So that you come back before us, we can clear that up.
not right away, but yes, that is, yes, absolutely, yes.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye. Abstain.
At this time, we will adjourn into executive session. The city council will pass a second to be closed executive session. Consult with an attorney in person concerning matters upon which the attorney has a duty and or responsibility to report to the governmental body and other legal matters related to items posted on the council agenda, if any.
Mary, you'll need to read 8.2 and 8.3 as well.
Section 551.087, economic development, to receive and evaluate financial information received from business prospect, and discuss same and or to deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the city has received from a business prospect that the city seeks to locate, stay, or expand in or near the city, with which the city is conducting economic development negotiations to deliberate any offer or any financial or any other incentives to any business prospect described above. Section 551.072, deliberations about real property, deliberations concerning the potential purchase and exchange and lease and acquisition of sale and or value of real property.
Make a motion to adjourn the executive session.
Mayor and council, without objection, I ask that ACM Ward and Stacy Barr be allowed in executive session.
Wonder if we need to see someone out the back door to tell us.
It's 2 weeks in a row, Jody. It's 2 weeks in a row. Twice.
Not my fault. I don't remember 2 weeks ago. I'm sure I did.
We have a couple of motions coming out of our executive session. Direct city attorney and city manager to negotiate and finalize contract for purchase of real property within the parameters discussed in closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Second motion? Or second? Direct city manager to negotiate and finalize economic development agreement for public improvements within the parameters discussed in closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And at this time, we'll close down.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?